Yeah.
Hi, I'm a bit nervous to make and upload this video. Is a bit scary, but I've decided I really wanna do this. I don't want it to be a huge deal, and I don't want to say too much about myself in this video, but it is a pretty big step for me to open up about this. I've been waiting specifically for April, because the 2nd of April this week and the whole month of April is part of a movement that relates to me. Not very long ago, I was diagnosed with a mental disorder, a neuropsychological or neurobehavioral condition, a development disability. You can call it several things. But before I tell you exactly what that diagnosis is, I want to say this. I'm scared that publicly coming out is going to have a negative effect. That some people will treat me worse only because of my diagnosis. But I'll take that risk because of the reasons why I want to do this. I'm doing this because I don't want to keep it a secret. I don't want to ask others to keep it a secret for me. And I'm doing this so that I can talk about it openly, hopefully with less fear. Also because it can in some ways give others an answer for why I am the way I am, and to show that I'm not ashamed. It's not like I've been keeping it a secret from everyone this whole time, but I've also haven't been as open as I want to be with it. So, what I want to tell you is that I was diagnosed with autism, level 1 of ASD, autism spectrum disorder. I have autism. I'm autistic. There are 3 levels of autism, 1 being the most mild category and 3 being the most severe. Level 1 can also be called high functioning. Basically, it means it's not very apparent that I am autistic and that I'm not very hindered in life due to autism. While I can live on my own, support myself, and don't have any speech impairment nor problems with body movements, people in level 2 and 3 will experience these things to various degrees. If you're watching this on the day it was uploaded, or the week of, or the month of April, it is now Autism Awareness Month, week, day. And that's why I made this video at this time. I wanted to contribute and take the opportunity to tell you about myself. And what I really want you as a non-autistic person to understand when it comes to autism is that it's a very wide spectrum. There are a lot of different autistic traits, some good, some bad, depending on who you ask and in what context. Anyone autistic can have any amount of these traits and to different degrees. But there are 2 things that loosely connect all autistic people. 1, difficulty or abnormality in social interaction. 2, repetitive or restrictive behavior and interests. You'll find these 2 to be phrased in different ways depending on where you look, but this is how I would phrase it. Also important to say is that autism doesn't necessarily have anything to do with intelligence. It is not an intellectual disability by definition. Some autistic people display extraordinary mental abilities, but the link between autism in these cases I don't know enough about. When it comes to me, I did get above average on the intelligence tests during my assessment. There's still quite a lot not known about autism, and I'm obviously no expert, but what I also want everyone to know is that autism is not a disease. It doesn't have a look. You're born with it and you'll always be autistic. It is genetic, but the exact cause is unknown. Autistic brains are literally structured differently, and for me, being autistic means I'm different from most people, from the norm, from the majority of people. Different in how I function and handle information, how I perceive the world, and in how I interact with people. It means I'm often expected by society to function in other ways than I do. Different doesn't equal bad, but some people view it as bad, and it can sometimes become a problem. But maybe in some cases because others are not autistic. Everyone is different, but in this case there are enough people with similar working brains to give it a name. I feel like an alien from a different planet. I feel like most people except me got a manual on how to interact with others. It feels as if almost everyone speaks a different language that I physically can't become fluent in. I think being on the autistic spectrum means you're different, but not worse. Ever since I was diagnosed, I've been learning so much in my research on autism. Before I was diagnosed, I knew very little about it and thought it was similar to something like Down syndrome, or that all autistic people basically were like those with severe level 3 autism. This is probably why before it was suggested to me that I might have autism, it never even crossed my mind that I might be autistic. To be diagnosed was uncomfortable. It did make me feel a bit sad and broken at first, but obviously the autism side of me has always been there, regardless. So after learning more about it, I felt that the diagnosis helped me understand myself more and made me less scared to tell people about it. It showed me that there is a group of people I can more easily relate to, and finally I could call my difference something. Another thing I wish to say is that I hope people can see autism in a more positive light. I've been working on that myself. That autism in itself is not a bad thing by default, but there are for sure bad traits and struggles that come with it. And there's nothing wrong with disliking and wanting to change these parts. On VRChat, the social platform that I'm recording this in, I have met several people on the autism spectrum. Most, if not all, are open about it. I wasn't at first. I couldn't decide for a while how open I wanted to be. Gradually I told the closer friends, and gradually I decided to tell basically anyone if I was asked or if the topic came up. I will continue doing it like that, except this month I'm going to try to promote the awareness of autism a bit more than that. I've actually been wearing these two ribbons on my back for a long time now, representing my two diagnoses. With that, I'm not trying to be like, hey, look at me, I got autism, but to spread awareness and more easily connect with people that are aware of these symbols. And yes, I do have another disorder, which I'm not as comfortable talking about, but will perhaps make another video on, or I'll just tweet about it. I might also make another video regarding my main traits linked to autism. But for now, this is what I wanted to tell everyone. And if you have any questions about autism from my perspective, or about me as an autistic person, or whatever really, feel free to ask me in the comments below, or on Twitter, or on Discord, or in VRChat. Thank you very much for watching, for listening, for caring, and hopefully for understanding. I've actually been... Why? My brain won't let me do it. Holy shit. It's... Ugh. This is the hardest part about this video, turning around and pointing at my back. Come on.